Good morning, students. How are you? Hope all of you are well. Welcome to the second online lecture of your subject, Social Studies. I hope you all must have revised your lesson well and completed your work assignment with ease. Moving further, let's begin with the establishment of company rule in India. We studied earlier how the Britishers who came for trade slowly started to interfere in the internal matters of our country, fought many battles to gain power. The Battle of Plassey and Battle of Buxar fought by the English people in the year 1757 AD and 1764 AD are the best examples to explain the desire to rule our country, India. Why the British East India Company wanted to rule India? Why? Why? All these questions comes in one's mind. Let me tell you, students, Britishers who came as traders were mesmerized by the rich natural heritage, culture, prosperity, rich mineral resources and wealth of our country, India. Our country, India, was called as Golden Bird. Britishers adopted various expansion policies to gain land territories and established themselves. Let's begin and study in detail. Today we will be covering the points: expansion of the company rule, subsidiary alliance system by Lord Wellesley, annexation policy by Lord Dalhousie, and economic social impact of the company rule. Let's understand how the British East India Company, who came as traders, established the company rule in India. The two battles, the Battle of Plassey, fought in the year 1757 AD in Plassey, laid the foundation of company's rule in India. I repeat, laid the foundation of company's rule in India. And the Battle of Buxar, fought in the year 1764 AD in Buxar, proved to be an icing on the cake, as it gave Diwani rights to the East India Company in the states of Bengal, Orissa and Bihar, the three big states. Diwani rights means to collect revenue from these states. Students, what is revenue? Revenue means to collect money in the form of tax. Let's begin with our first topic, expansion of the company rule. In that, we are going to study about Regulating Act, which was forced in the year 1773 AD. What is Regulating Act? It means to regulate or to control the Indian administration. Listen carefully. Regulating Act meant that all trade and political activities of India will be under the direct control of the British Company. To make it more effective, Governor of Bengal was upgraded and made Governor General, and Mumbai, Madras Governor and his council was brought under the Governor General of Bengal. The Regulating Act was a conspiracy to grab more power and land territories and to establish East India Company more firmly and strongly. Students, let's have a quick revision of Regulating Act. Regulating Act was enforced in India in the year 1773 AD. I repeat, in the year 1773 AD, the English government passed a law, and that law was known as Regulating Act. What is Regulating Act? To regulate or to control the Indian administration, in that what? All trade and political activities of India will be under the direct control of the British Company. For that, the East India Company made the Governor of Bengal the post of Governor General, Mumbai, Madras Governor, and his councils were brought under the Governor General of Bengal. This was a great achievement for East India Company. The East India Company adopted the policy of making England prosperous at the cost of India. Many policies and reforms were adopted by various Governor Generals in the administration, political, social, economic, and cultural field. All these were made in East India Company's interest, but indirectly it also proved to be beneficial for India. There were many Governor Generals in Rome, but some played an important role in the expansion of the company rule in India. Let's study in detail. Governor Generals of India during East India Company. Warren Hastings. Warren Hastings was the first Governor General of India. He served from 1773 to 1785 AD. During his tenure, the first Maratha War and the second Mysore War was fought. Now students, let us understand the Maratha War and the Mysore War. There were altogether 3 Maratha wars fought between the Maratha Empire in India and the British East India Company. These wars are also known as Anglo-Maratha Wars. The first war began with the Treaty of Surat and ended with the Treaty of Salbai in the year 1775 till 1782. The Marathas won the battle, and Mahatji Shinde and Nana Fadnavis were some of the leaders from Maratha Empire. Now about Mysore War. The Anglo-Mysore Wars were a series of wars fought in the 18th century between the Kingdom of Mysore on the one hand and the British arms of Hyderabad on the other hand. Altogether, there were 4 Mysore Wars fought. These 2 wars were fought by Hyder Ali. During the second war, Hyder Ali, due to the illness, died, and Treaty of Mysore was made with the East India Company. After Warren Hastings, second Governor General was John Macpherson. He served just for only 1 year, from 1785 to 86. After him, Lord Charles Cornwallis. He was made as the Governor General of India. He fought Third Mysore War with Tipu Sultan. To defeat Tipu Sultan, the English East India Company joined hands with the Marathas and the Nizams. Tipu Sultan could not stand before the combined force and accepted the defeat and signed the Treaty of Seringapattam Fort. In continuation, Fourth Mysore War was also supported by Marathas. Together, they defeated Tipu Sultan, and Tipu was killed on 4th May 1799 while defending his Seringapattam fort, which is in Karnataka. Students, a doubt must be arising why the Marathas helped the Britishers. Because the Marathas and Mysore were the two most powerful states in India. Perhaps they thought of Mysore was out of picture, then they would become more powerful player in the south. However, their thinking was wrong and the British overpowered them. Sir John Shore, he was the next Governor General after Cornwallis. He served from the year 1793 to 98. He adopted rigid policies, so the fame of East India Company declined and Marathas became stronger. After him, Eliud Clark, he was made the Governor General of India in the year 1798. But soon after him, Lord Richard Wellesley, he was made the Governor General of India. From the year 1798 till 1805, Wellesley served as the Governor General of India. During his tenure only, he introduced subsidiary alliance system, which is also known as the non-intervention policy. Also, we can say it was a sweet poison. We will study about the subsidiary alliance system in detail later on. After Wellesley, 3 other Governor Generals were in row. After them, in the year 1813 to 1823, Lord Francis Rawdon Hastings, he came as a Governor General in India. He waged war with Nepal and made Gurkhas to join British Army. He also fought battle with the Pindharas and took control over them. After Third Maratha War, British became powerful. Students, who were the Pindharas? Pindharas were the irregular military plunderers, robbers. First they accompanied Muslims, later Marathas during the 17th century, and Gurkhas were the local tribes in Nepal. Lord William Bentinck, he served as a Governor General from the year 1828 to 1835. He was considered as the liberal Governor General. Dissatisfaction amongst people will not bring unity and progress of East India Company. This was his statement. So he is considered as the liberal Governor General. After Bentinck, Lord Dalhousie, he came to India. He came in the year 1848. Dalhousie is considered as an imperialist. I repeat, he is considered as an imperialist. What is the meaning of imperialist? Imperialist means a policy of expanding through military forces and other means. Dalhousie, he adopted the policy of annexation. It is also known as doctrine of lapse. Students, we will study policy of annexation in detail later on. Slide of Regulating Act and Governor Generals has been attached for you all for better understanding. View it carefully. Students, let's study about subsidiary alliance system. This was introduced by Lord Wellesley to bring princely states under the control of the British government. The alliance was forced upon rulers. If they refused, their land territories could be annexed by the British. Why it was known as a sweet poison? Because it was non-intervention policy. Every ruler in India had to accept to pay a subsidiary to the British for the maintenance of the British army. Let us revise once. Terms and condition of subsidiary alliance system. The East India Company said that they will provide trained army to the state that accepts the system. In return, the state accepting the system will provide for the army or give away provinces with equivalent income to the British. I am repeating that the Britishers will give trained army to the princely states. In return, the princely states will give subsidiary, some amount to the East India Company. It also said, without the permission of the company, the state will not wage war or sign treaty with other states. You can see how the East India Company started to interfere in the internal matters of the princely states. It also stated there will be one English representative in the state assembly. Other foreigners not to be employed in the state. Here, other foreigners means the French and the Dutch and the Portuguese people. The states, the rulers who accepted the subsidiary alliance systems were the Nizams, Mysore, Awadh, the Gaikwad, the Sindhia, the Bhosle and the Holkars. Let us now understand Dalhousie's policy of annexation. It is also known as doctrine of lapse. When the ruler of a protected state died without a natural heir, I repeat, died without a natural heir, his or her state would be annexed. It was not to pass to an adopted heir. The best example is Jhansi as an age-old tradition. Dalhousie adopted this policy vigorously, and under his annexation policy, he made various rules. Annexation by war, and in that Punjab, Pegu, it came under his control. Pegu is in Lower Burma. Annexation due to the king dying without heir, in that Satara, Jaitpur, Sambalpur, Udaipur, Jhansi, Bhagat and Nagpur. These states came under the direct control of East India Company. Annexation on the pretext of mismanagement, in that Awadh was taken care. Annexation on pretext of debt collection, they were not ready to give the debt, and in that the Nizam's province came under direct control. Annexation to end a namesake rule, in that Karnataka and Tanjore. So all these princely states, they were annexed and brought under the control of East India Company. Students, now let's study about the economic impact of the company. The company's rule in India faded the glitter of the economic prosperity in just 100 years. India became just a producer of raw material for England, a market for producing goods in factories. The dual power policy, that is the Dvimukhi Sashan, power of collecting revenue with the British and responsibility of people's welfare with the Nawab. The dual power policy ruined Bengal. The Indian artisans became poor and unemployed. The Indian farmers, the peasants, became debtors. The company traders forced the weavers of Bengal to sign contracts for providing definite quantity of cloth in a short period. If the peasants they refused, they were punished by lashing, caning, or were kept in jails. The Indian villages became dependent and poor. Now let's study about the social impact of the company rule. The spirit of freedom of speech and thought developed due to the development of newspaper. Social reformers like Raja Ram Mohan Roy, Behramji Malwari, Durga Ram Mehta. These were the social reformers. They protested for the wrong customs, rites and rituals, and all these were abolished by these stalwarts by getting the laws passed with the help of the Britishers, as for example child marriage, sati system, female infanticide, widow remarriage. Let's have a glance. Raja Ram Mohan Roy, he was a social religious reformer from West Bengal and one of the founder of Brahma Samaj. Behramji Malwari, he was a poet, social reformer from Gujarat. He fought for the women and child welfare. Durgaram Mehta, he was also from Gujarat, a Gujarati social reformer and also a teacher. Administrative framework in India was anglicized. That means everything was done in English. English education was imparted because of Lord Macaulay. During the time of Charles Wood, universities were established in Mumbai, Madras and Kolkata. First railway line from Mumbai to Thane started in the year 1853 AD. Wireless system, public works department, all these were done for the welfare of East India Company, but all these helped indirectly to the Indians. Now let's have a quick revision. The first topic, discovery of sea route to India. When Istanbul was closed by Turkish Muslims, the Europeans who could not do for the Indian spices, they were compelled to discover a new sea route. An era of geographical discoveries began. Many of the persons, they gave assistance to many of the explorers, and in this Bartholomew Dias, he discovered Cape of Good Hope. Christopher Columbus, he started to find a sea route to India, but he found an island which is West Indies, and he believed that it was India. Amerigo Vespucci later on said that this land found was America. Finally, in the year 1498 AD, Portuguese sailor Vasco da Gama discovered the sea route to India, and he was welcomed by King Zamorin in Calicut, India. The arrivals of Europeans to India. The Portuguese were the first to arrive in India. Inspired by the Portuguese, the Dutch from Holland, the Danish from Denmark, and the English in the year 1600 AD as traders came to India. In the year 1668, the French East India Company arrived in India, and they established themselves in Mahe, Karaikal, Pondicherry, Chandranagar, Machilipatnam, etc. In 18th century, the English and the French fought for power with each other. Many battles they fought with each other, and finally the French, they were left with a smaller areas like Chandranagar, Mahe, Karaikal and Pondicherry. The Dutch and the Danish had to leave. At the end of this battle for power, the British East India Company adopted various policies to expand their territories in India. The Battle of Plassey in the year 1757 AD was fought, followed by the Battle of Buxar in the year 1764. With this, we have completed our lesson. I hope you have understood well and the explanation is clear. Revise your lesson properly. At the end of the slide, home assignment has been given. Complete your work in your notebook. Take care. Goodbye. Thank you.